Welcome to the Great Christmas Cookie Project. I'm Todd from TS Wood & Leather. Here we have 7 raw cookies. The client commissioned me to make a custom design commemorating a family event, and I had to get them done in time for Christmas. This project was going to take prep work, CNC work, several coats of epoxy on top of all my other Christmas projects. I had to get going. The first step is to flatten these for the CNC machine. For this project, I brought out my small flattening sled. I made it out of 3/4 inch plywood. It's got about a 3-inch gap in the middle for the router bit, and it's just wide enough so my router can fit inside and have a little play back and forth without binding up. It works great for smaller projects. I secure the cookies on the dog hole side of my workbench with these stops and these screw-in vise clamps sort of things. They work really good.
And now I'm gonna make a mess. We're gonna flatten these and then run them through the sander, get them good and flat, and then we will take them to the CNC. So here we go. All right, so there's the flat top of our cookie. And now I just have to do it 11 more times. So shout out to JS Genesis Designs, that's Shannon and Josie. I'll have a link for their website down below. They did all the CNC work on this and it turned out great. These guys are really good at what they're doing and have a nice CNC setup and really defined cuts. Really nice. And they're all just a little bit different, but that makes them all kind of unique. I like that. Seal everything. Fill in the cracks with clear. Once that's done, fill in the grid lines and all the lettering with black epoxy. Got the first clear coat on both top and bottom, and I just did a little bit of light sanding to get any bumps and stuff out of the cookies. They are looking pretty good. So the next step is I have to go in and dam up where the cracks are and where they go into where the black is going to be. So the cracks are going to be filled with clear. And then the lines and all the digits and stuff are going to be filled with black. And I also have to fill in this bad boy. So I have a new method of putting color in the holes, and it works really good. It is micro point for the CA glue, which comes with the CA glue kits, and luckily it fits over my syringe. I did buy some needles for the syringes, which are metal needles that I can't locate. I don't know what I did with them, but this works just as well, if not better.
it gives me pinpoint accuracy.
Everything's sanded, all the cracks are filled for the most part on the top. Everything's flattened on the top and the bottom as best I can. These are not fully dried cookies, so they are still moving and they're not gonna stay completely flat, but they're as flat as I can get them. And don't let the rubber gloves scare you. I'm gonna start the epoxy. So this is a clear coat covering the top. I mixed up a batch of epoxy. This is SUPERCLEAR, 24-hour casting epoxy, and it cures in about 3 days. It's not actually 24 hours, but and with the first coat, all I have to worry about is getting full coverage and making sure we don't have bubbles. This is after the first coat of epoxy. Well, I did a sealant and then epoxy, but you can tell the glare of the lights. This wood really sucked up the epoxy. It is like a sponge.
That's right, it sucks.
Some are sucked up more than others, but that's why we have to do multiple coats. Luckily, because of the sealant, I only have like one bubble. You can see one little tiny bubble. And I'm going to sand that off, and it'll scuff this and it'll make it look like it's ruined and everything, but as soon as you put on another coat of epoxy, all the scratches and scuffs go away. So I'm going to wipe them down with alcohol to make sure I get all the surface dust, anything that's on the surface at all, and then do another coat of epoxy, tent it, and then leave it for 3 or 4 days. You can see those little white specks. Those aren't actually specks. Those are, I call them sucker holes. And they're where the epoxy is actually sucking down into the grain. And they won't create a bubble necessarily, but they'll create a little divot in the epoxy because more epoxy will run into those than anywhere else. There's another one right there. You can see it. Looks like a little indentation, and it's because there is a crack right there and it's sucking in more epoxy. People think that you just slap on some epoxy and it's a one-shot deal. It's not, especially when you're dealing with anything that's porous. We got to tent these up and let them sit for 3-4 days at least, and then do it again.
Sanding of the Great Cookie project, and then we're gonna do a final real thin flood coat of epoxy, and then they'll be done. All done for Christmas. Websites, materials, tools, everything I used in the description down below. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, send to a friend. Merry Christmas, and as always, until next time, love ya. See ya.